Happy to be joined by UFC strawweight contender Mackenzie Dern, who takes on Tecia Torres at UFC 273 on the pay-per-view main card. You go from a main event to pay-per-view main card. That's got to feel good, right?
Yeah, I'm happy. I think it's gonna be a great fight, a great opportunity with a lot of attention. A lot of views and eyes, and just to be, with Durinho and Kim. I don't know. I don't want to mess up his name, but Chimaev and Aljamain and Peter Yan and Korean Zombie with Alex. So man, two title fights. It's gonna be a great card, and I'm happy that us girls are on the top. We're up in there, and I think this is a very important fight. Tisha's trying to get in the top five. I'm trying to cover my last fight that was a loss. So get back on the win streak, and I think it's gonna be fireworks this fight.
Yeah, and let's talk about your last fight. It was your first main event. How did it feel to be in there for 25 minutes? Because you went the distance, you got that good experience. It's very valuable at this point in your career, right? So how did that feel?
Yeah, for sure, to be able to have 25 minutes of footage to go back and study and see my mistakes and see my qualities, and just kind of, it's always good to have that much footage and learn from it. And, Marina, she's a tough girl, she's experienced, she's long, she has great footwork. So, yeah, I'm excited. We still got fight of the night. Of course, I wish I was on the winning part of the fight of the night, but I think I showed a lot of qualities too. Like I have a good chin. I have a good chin. I can, handle 25 minutes. I think sometimes when you submit fast, people think, oh, well, how would they go if it goes into the fourth and fifth round? But I think we showed like, okay, we can do 25 minutes, no problem. Just getting that experience and bringing it into my next fights. I almost feel like now going back to three rounds. It's like, oh man, I only have 3 rounds now to get the job done. If I start fighting, these girls that are really good at just controlling distance and all the experience they have, But this focus is the same. The objective is still the same. Get the fight to the ground, submit, and get out. Try to get hit and not get hit as much as possible. And yeah, I think we're getting better and evolving. And I learned so much from my last fight, so it was really really good. I took a lot of good learning experience from it.
And yeah, you had a good second round in that fight against Marina. But what was kind of your main takeaway looking back when you watched the fight? What was one thing that you looked at and said, I wish I could have done this or I shouldn't have done that? Like, what was your main takeaway?
I think I needed to commit more. I think I was thinking too much. In the fight, I was seeing a lot of things coming. I was seeing like her combos coming. I was hearing her coaches like, oh, throw this and that, and then I'd see it and like I'd make it miss, but then I wouldn't counter on it, or even just me getting to her, and trust like, you know, extending my punches, following up with like not just one, two, but maybe punch number three, four, and five, just to get that extra distance and just committing, like get her to the ground, and get close. Of course, I went into the fight thinking like, okay, I know she has a good right hand, she has strong power, but the more I was going through the fight and okay, feeling her hands, so like, okay, it's I can take it, it's nothing too bad. But all of a sudden she's cutting angles, and I'm even on the ground, I think even on the ground I was in a lot of positions that if I would have just committed to going for the arm or going for the choke, I probably would have got it, But I was thinking like, oh, should I ground and pound more? Should I try and get her a little bit tired, or try and hurt her more before I go for the submission? When usually I'm not like that, Usually I'm not in doubt of if I should do more ground and pound or if I should go straight for the submission. You just go, And when you go 100%, I don't think there's too much, to go wrong. But once you doubt and you're like 1 second late, 2 seconds late, and she's ahead, and 1 second makes a big difference in the fight. All of a sudden the round is over and we have to stand back up and you have to do the whole work all over again. Closing the distance and things like that. So I think just overthinking in the fight and not just committing 100% was like my biggest learning experience for that fight.
Yeah, and Marina went on to fight Yan Xiaonan. Great fight, close fight. Some people felt like it should have gone the other way. Some people thought Marina won. How about you? Did you watch that fight, and who do you think won?
Yeah, of course I watched it. I was like really excited to see the fight. I knew as soon as it started, we were already seeing like a great striking from both of them, great technique, fast from both of the girls. I thought it was really close. I could see it going either way. I think Young China won the first round. The second one that I thought was like kind of close, and the third one I thought Marina. I thought the strikes were close, but I thought that Marina just her posture, like going forward, pushing forward, that pressure. I think it kind of just, it's the last round, and the judges see that it's kind of like she just looked like she was pushing the fight, and I think that was kind of what made the big difference. So in my opinion, I thought that Marina won, but it was so close, and I thought it was just more because of her demeanor and kind of walking forward on the last round, and the last 20 seconds doing a blitz, and just trying to like sell it to the judges. That's in my opinion, but it was so close. I think it could have gone either way. I think the second round was the closest. I think the takedown that Yan Shainan, I thought that she was going to get another takedown in the third round just to kind of solidify the fight for her, but it was close and was great to watch that fight.
That's a great breakdown. Something tells me that you keep a close eye on your division, right? Do you find yourself watching all the fights?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially back when I was, not in the rankings and stuff, I was not watching too many, But yeah, just to know that, you know, I mean, just to know I'm gonna eventually fight them, and but I learned so much from them, I mean, I see them doing some things, and I want to put that in my game, and I said like, okay, of course I'm thinking, okay, how to fight them? How is Young fighting Marina? What did she do different than I did? How did Marina fight Young? Okay, I like that. Maybe I'll put that in my game and I'll try and do that. And yeah, I mean, just watching like now I'm gonna fight Tecia Torres. So I'm watching her fights. I see her fight with Rose, and I see some things that Rose was doing. I said, okay, I kind of do that movement, so I could probably do that. Maybe that's something I should put, in my game and stuff like that. So just trying to take a little bit of all the things that I like and all the great fighters in my division and try and put in my style and just not be so one way and just get a little bit of the best of all the different fighters and try to be the best Mackenzie I can be.
Yeah, and you get Tecia Torres, who's on a nice winning streak, like you said, she's trying to get into the top 5. What do you make of Ticia's recent run? Like, have you been impressed with what you've seen from her?
Yeah, it was like the same with Marina. It's like all the people that I start to follow on Instagram, all of a sudden they're like my next fight. So I had started following Tecia, I think maybe 2 fights of hers ago, because I saw her fighting. I was like, oh man, she's looking good. I was like inspired, by her, how much she was pressing forward, her striking. I started following her. I did like a shout out, like, oh, good job, she's looking great. We fought on the same card. And then all of a sudden she's my next fight, and that was the same with Marina. I did the same thing with Marina. I started following her, and then all of a sudden she's the next fight that I had, So definitely, I think Ticia's looking so good. I'm happy to be fighting her at this time in her career. I think she had gone from like a losing streak, but just losing from all former champions, So now she's definitely kind of overwhelming the girls, and that's why I say, like, man, I think this is gonna be a firework fight, because I don't know. I don't know what's going to be her strategy, but I feel like she's going to come and just kind of try and overwhelm me like she's been doing her last fights. And I think we're both just going to try and get the respect we want from each other. So I definitely don't want to go back to what I did with Marina, where you're like, I walk forward, but then I kind of walk back too. Definitely going to keep walking forward too in this fight, and I see her doing the same thing, throwing her blitz. She throws a lot of combinations and stuff like that. I definitely don't see me going this fight without getting hit or anything like that, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna go in trying to hit her too, So that's why I think this fight's gonna be so entertaining for everybody, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a big battle, I think.
And yeah, because Ticia's had fights where she's predominantly striking, and then there are fights where she uses her grappling. Obviously, you're a jiu-jitsu ace, so is it safe to say that maybe you think she's going to want to stand with you? And you talk about the blitzes. Is that good for you? That the fact that if she's going to bring the fight for you, maybe you can get into those clinch positions and get her down? Would you like that if that's her strategy?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, that's a little bit, and I mean, especially because she's shorter. I'm excited to be fighting someone shorter, so it's kind of like for her to, for someone who likes to point and has good footwork, but for them to get their points, and kind of keep touching me and stuff, they need to come in close, as in like Marina, who has a long reach. She could kind of get a lot of points and kind of get off touching me and stuff, but staying on the outside, And Tecia, for her being the shorter girl, I think that's why she is like, the tiny tornado. She's fast. She has a lot of volume. She kind of gets in, throws high volume, and gets out, but she does need to get in closer. So I'm excited to be fighting someone like her. And of course, when they get closer, that's where I'm comfortable at. So I'm definitely not. I think I'm not scared to get hit. I have a good chin, so I mean that's not the best thing to say. Like, oh, I know I can get hit and not fall so easily. But I mean, I think it's definitely hard to fight someone when they can get hit and just keep going forward. And that's why I think this is going to be such a great fight.
What do you make of the state of the division? Obviously, you were on a nice winning streak before your recent loss. So, a win over Tecia, where do you feel like it puts you in this division?
I mean, that's so hard. I think it all just depends on how the fight goes. If it's an easy win, if it's a really, really tough, close decision, split decision, or something like that. I think really just depends. But yeah, we'll see. I can't. This is going to be a hard fight. So I'm really just focused so much on Tisha. I don't know really what's going to put me. I hope we can see Joanna and Zhang Weili. That's like fight of the year again, number 2. So I'm really, really excited to see that fight and what the results will be. And then Carla and Rose, it's coming up on May 7th. So hopefully I can watch that front row with a win on my shoulders and just be able to study and see kind of what's going to happen, how the division is going to unfold. But we'll see. I think it all just depends on how good of the fight will be with Tecia on April 9th.
Speaking of Rose and Carla, obviously it's a completely different storyline from their first fight, right? On The Ultimate Fighter, Carla's also improved significantly. So, do you think Carla's going to be able to get Rose down, use her grappling, and impose her will, or do you see Rose kind of picking her apart? I mean, Rose has got good jiu-jitsu too, right? So, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, that's the hardest. I think Rose is gonna win just because I think she's evolved so much um, in all different areas. Her ground, her takedowns. I mean, just with her fight with Zhang Weili, they were taking each other down. So to see Rose getting the takedowns in that fight and stuff like that um, was really, really entertaining. Her striking, she's precise. Her striking is just looking so good. Um, so I think Rose is gonna get the win. But I mean, I won't be surprised if Carla gets like an upset or something like that because, like you said, Carla has just gone so good at implementing her game, and it's like who's gonna win? The person that's kind of more all around, or the person that's like Khabib style that knows their game and can implement it, and just put on that pressure from no matter who she fights, and that's what I think Carla really brings to the table. That she's good, and no matter who she fights, she's able to put her game. And I mean, I'm not like that. I know everyone says, "Oh, take it to the ground, take it to the ground," and then all of a sudden, when I see I'm like 2 rounds in and I'm striking, and I'm like, I'm liking the striking, but obviously my striking is not exactly where I am with other girls. So the fact that Carla can, has that experience and like that maturity as a fighter to put her game with whoever, I think I think that's dangerous. But I don't see Rose giving up like her neck or the back like she did on their first time. So I don't see them falling into the same type of fight as the last time they fought. So, and Rose, I mean, to accomplish her belt twice, it's already hard to accomplish it once. Imagine twice. So I think just Rose is at a really good moment in her career.
You brought up an interesting point when you were talking about your striking, because I always remember like when we watch guys like Khabib, because he's obviously so good with his grappling, and you have that as well. Like you're so good with your jiu-jitsu and grappling. So do you ever have this conversation with your coaches where they're like, try not to strike so much, get this fight to the ground? Because I can see Khabib sometimes when he's striking and his coaches tell you, get the fight to the ground. Do you have those conversations with your coaches?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, definitely even my striking coach, Bruno, he's like, what he's teaching me, he's not teaching me striking to be a striker, he's teaching me striking to set up my hands, kind of like you see Habib, like with McGregor, for example, he landed like that big right hand, and then all of a sudden, McGregor's thinking like, oh, shoot, I need to think about her striking too, and stuff like that. So kind of this style where, you get them to respect your stand up a little bit. But yeah, like I said, when you start fighting a experienced fighter who's good at like, keeping distance and get in and get out and has just good footwork, it's hard to kind of not fall into their game. and especially for me when I'm sparring and I'm training, I'm always working a lot on my striking, because I mean, if I want to just spend my whole day training what I'm really good at, like, okay, every sparring I do, just take to the ground, submit. Okay, stand back up again. You know, put on the cage, take to the ground, submit. Like, okay, that's good. That's like what I like to do in the fight. But my whole jiu-jitsu career, I've always trained what I'm my weak points, and that's what I do now. I train my weak points. So I've been training striking so much, like all the time. I get beat up in the training because I'm doing my striking. So obviously I'm not 100% there yet or anything like that. I don't take it too hard, like, oh, I didn't do good today, but because I'm working my striking, but yeah, it's hard, because that's what you train, and then all of a sudden you go into the fight, and you want to do what you're good at, but you were just training like maybe 2 months standing up, so it's a little bit mixed. It's hard to keep, what's fresh in your mind, what you've been training, even though you're training your weakness, and try to put your strength in the fight, and then to not fall into, I guess, the trap, being a striker, when you want to just take to the ground. But I mean, that's the fun of it. I'm evolving in the top of the division. I'm not learning, in the amateur. I'm not learning like in the, I don't know, in small events. I'm learning here with the best of the best. So I think just being a good athlete and being focused, and I have the motivation. I have a good chin. I have heart, and I'm gonna have the crowd. So I'm excited, and I think yeah, I'm just training to be ready for when I get the belt, whenever that is. I'll stay there for a while.
Oh, Mackenzie, I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate your time. But before I let you go, I'll ask you kind of a fun question. Do you have a dream submission that you wish to land in a fight that you haven't done before?
Do I have a dream submission?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think no. I mean, I think in the UFC, I would like to land my chocoplata. I've landed the chocoplata before. It was in the LFA, but I think if I can get the chocoplata in the UFC, that's my goal. It's never happened in the UFC, so that's definitely was my favorite position. I always landed it in jiu-jitsu, my whole jiu-jitsu career. I did land it in MMA, but I want to land it with the best of the best. So the chocoplata, where it's like domoplata, but you get the neck too. Definitely, that's my goal eventually one day to get.
Maybe at UFC 273 against Tecia Torres. Well, Mackenzie, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate the time, and best of luck on April 9th.
Yeah, thank you. Always great to talk to you.